I'm David Hepworth, and probably in about 1990, Trevor asked me to do a radio programme, 2 hours every week. And I said, well, what do you want me to do? And he said, I just want you to play bloody good records. Which I thought was, a pretty good mission statement for anything. And it used to run in what I think he hilariously referred to as Executive Drivetime, which was when people were coming back from their, either going or coming back to their country estates on Friday night or Sunday evening. I think actually Sunday evening most of them were doing the ironing. And I did it in one way or another, probably for nearly 10 years, amazingly enough. And during that time, nobody ever seriously tried to tell me how to do anything at all. And I'm not a radio professional, I work in publishing and dabble. And what I've realised is subsequently, I had the best time anybody could ever have. I was paid absolute peanuts, but I had a ball doing it. And as soon as there was any indication that anybody wanted to interfere in it in any way, I took my bat home, and I've never had any regrets about doing it, about taking my bat home. GLR at its best was all about that idea of being in the moment. The idea that the person presenting the programme was in the same frame of mind and at the same point in the week as the people actually doing the listening. So there was a very definite sense of the week. Whereas I think most music radio is hidebound by the fact that it's either trying to play what it thinks is popular or trying to play what it thinks it ought to. And when you get to somebody's house, they don't play something because they think they ought to. They play it because they just want to hear it, and they think you might want to hear it as well. And during that time that I was completely making hay, doing absolutely what I wanted, the armies of the night who have taken over radio, both public and commercial, were doing everything possible to completely reduce the space in which a DJ could operate. And I think it's ironic, actually, that this was also at the same time that dance music was going mad on the basis of the DJ is in charge, the DJ chooses, the DJ gets you into this mood and pulls you along. And at the very time that this was going crazy everywhere, radio was busy driving them out of its business. I'm perfectly prepared to concede that GLR was the most self-indulgent, wanky, metropolitan thing. But I'm also staggered that, during the time since it's been nailed down, put in a lead-lined box and buried at the bottom of the ocean, the radio hasn't come up with any better ideas. And that everybody I talk to in radio talks about radio being in retreat. And I think there's a huge lesson there for everybody in the media, which is that I think you can get too clever for your own good. I think you can get too professional. You think you know too much about what the audience wants or what you can deliver. And all you do is you slowly reduce your room for manoeuvre. And I'm amazed that in the kind of digital revolution and that's taking place in every front, that nobody has found room for anything that as odd and renegade and colourful as GLR at its best. And if you want to know what GLR at its best was like, the best radio programme I ever heard in my life was Chris Evans' Saturday morning programme. When, if I'm correct, he used to start every week with the theme from Happy Days, and I think the fourth record in was always Smoke from a Distant Fire by the Stanford Townsend Band, which he never referred to. And I was the only person in the world who knew what that was, because I happened to have bought it. And we used to listen to it driving around, taking the kids swimming or whatever. And everybody in that car, 7-year-olds, people in their 40s or whatever, absolutely adored that programme in a way that I can't imagine any programme being adored nowadays. And its highest point was when he launched a thing called Name That Git, which was, if you're a woman and you've had an affair with a bloke who told you that he wasn't married and he turned out to be married, ring in and name that git. Well, he did it once. I heard it. I don't know if you followed it the following week, but it had an electricity and a crackle to it that we seek in vain in contemporary radio. The other thing I did is, apart from doing my own programme, on a few occasions I'd sat in on the weekly morning show when Richard Skinner was on holiday, and it was produced by the late lamented Chris Watmore. And Chris said, "You want guests? I'll give you. If you're interested in guests, I'll get you guests." And so for about 2 weeks, I met the most extraordinary parade of the great and the good and the strange. General Sir Peter de la Billiere, Anthony Burgess, Lord Jenkins of Hill Head, Julie Burchill, Michael Palin. Just one after another, these people came in and talked about their book or their career or whatever, and then you play a pop record in between, and that to me is a kind of radio I seek in vain. That combination of supposedly the most serious with actually the most light and entertaining, which reached its some sort of zenith on Black Wednesday, when the UK was kicked out of the ERM or whatever it was, and I was doing the morning show, and Jeremy Nicholas was doing the news, and he had to dash in every half an hour to report on the fact that the bank rate had gone up another 0.5%. And I think when he'd done it three times, we followed it with, "Thank you very much, Jeremy, and this is Clarence Frogman Henry and Ain't Got No Home."